Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Full Court Press. I am your host, Drew Duncan. Do not forget that Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan 83. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan. Of course, the Full Court Press is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And don't forget that we are wherever you listen to podcasts, i.e., iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Podcasts, etc. Simply tell your device to play the Full Court Press by Drew Duncan. 32 teams, 32 days in the NFL. The focus right now is the New York Football Giants. You know, it's amazing to me that a football team can make the playoffs one time in 7 years and still somehow be as relevant in conversations as the New York Giants are, right? Do you realize that since they've won their Super Bowl over Tom Brady and the New England Patriots during the 2011 season, that they have only made the playoffs one time? It was 2016. They won 11-5 that year. They lose that game in a wild card, right? It was a wild card round, and they lost. And over the last two seasons specifically, the Giants are a combined 8-24. And yet, they are talked about by other players, other teams, other coaches, people in the media. It is astounding to me that a football team with the marginal success that they have had since they won that Super Bowl are still so relevant. I guess the old saying is true: location, 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 location. Look, I am a fan. Not many are. I am a fan of Eli Manning. I think he's a hell of a quarterback. And if it hadn't been for him being benched, the consecutive game starting record would have been his for a long time to come. Period. Probably why Ben McAdoo was fired. He said a long time ago that he was at peace with it. I think it's all time for us to move on. But regardless, I am a fan of Eli Manning. And going into this season, he could have had a decent wide receiving core to help him and Saquon Barkley in that running game out, right? Sterling Shepard, Golden Tate, Cody Latimer. It looked pretty good. But Sterling Shepard broke his thumb. Golden Tate is suspended for the first 4 games of the year. Games that are, by the way, against Dallas, divisional game, obviously. Buffalo, which, again, I've talked about this over and over and over since I started doing this preview of every team in the NFL. Top 3 ranked defense a season ago. Tampa Bay. And another divisional game with Washington. And by the way, in case you're wondering or don't know, it was PED use is what the allegation is. Golden Tate did appeal it, but immediately was turned away. And by the way, speaking of schedules, not only do they have that up front, but then they're going to be at New England on October the 10th. They're going to be at Chicago, and then they're going to have Green Bay at home. Folks, not an easy look for the New York Football Giants. Defensively, this team is always a bit of a conundrum, right? One season they'll play good enough to kind of keep you in games. Another season they'll be horrendous. I think with the Giants, the problem is that a lot of people have tried to look and point one finger, right? It's Odell Beckham Jr., and he was selfish, and Cleveland has no idea what they got themselves into, and you've never been on the field of battle with this guy, and you've never spent extended time with him in the locker room, and he's all about himself, and yada, 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 right? There's that whole thing. It's time for Eli Manning to go. Hey, thanks what you did for us with those 2 Super Bowls, but your time has passed. We don't need you here anymore. People are starting to talk about, Jones, and, initially people were kind of mystified, like, who the hell is this kid? And then he has that impressive preseason showing where he throws for over 300 yards, and then it's, well, maybe Eli needs to watch out, and people are calling for his head. And as I've said over and over again, the old saying is the most popular guy on a football team, especially a struggling one or a bad one, is the backup quarterback. And this is why I'm a fan of Eli Manning. Not simply because of his toughness, which he's proved that he's got, but because he has found a way in this league to sustain on his own. And it's not because he has the Manning name behind him. Believe me when I tell you. I think it has very little to do with that, if any at all. He has secured the most difficult position to secure in football, and that is the quarterback position. I think he's handled most things with grace, kind of a comedic approach. He's not afraid to, poke at himself a little bit. I wrote a thing years ago where I called Eli Manning the Achilles heel of the NFL. And it's because of those Super Bowl wins, and it's because of their playoff runs, and it's because of breaking, a 22, 23-game win streak in Gillette Stadium when they came back to beat the New England Patriots. It's because of those things that you look at Eli Manning and you go, this guy is a thorn in the side of everybody in the NFL. Look, with him, the Giants have won games that they were never supposed to win, and they have been places they were never supposed to go. Point blank. This schedule, though, is going to be tough for anybody. Look, Saquon Barkley showed a hell of a lot in one season. But as I've talked about over and over again, and it's starting to gain traction in the NFL finally, and that is, okay, great, 1 year. I'm not saying Saquon Barkley's a flash in the pan, but I'm also saying we'll see. Especially because I really looked at this football team starting this season, and even without Odell Beckham Jr., I thought to myself, this could be a year where they really run that football, take some pressure off of their receivers, off the offensive line, off their quarterback, and you may be able to stick any guy under center with this football team, and you could probably get 10 wins. With an experienced guy like an Eli Manning, you could probably get 12 wins. Now, they're in a world of hurt. They are in a world of hurt. Sterling Shepard breaking his thumb is huge. Then, of course, you had Corey Coleman, who, by the way, tore his ACL. Then again, you have the suspension with Golden Tate. He's out for the first 4 games, and again, 2 of those are divisional games. What's left is Cody Latimer. I mean, that's your marquee guy as of the moment right now, is Cody Latimer, to start the season. That's tough. That's tough on any football team. Then, of course, defensively, their cornerback was a DeAndre Baker. He's already hurt his knee. Now, he's saying, he's going to be ready to go and he's 100% and all this kind of stuff. But you start tweaking things, re-aggravating. You start coming back before you're really ready. There's the accumulative effect, right, instead of the initial effect. So I get concerned about this football team because it seems like every year we have this one team who sort of gets the injury bug. Right, and right now I think there's 2 of them. I think the Atlanta Falcons are kind of teetering that line, and the New York Giants are very much so. I don't think they've teetered it. I think they've walked over it. Fact of the matter is this. The Giants are not exactly in the toughest division in the NFL anymore. It used to be that way, but it's not. Toughest division belongs to the Browns, Bengals, Steelers, and Ravens as of right now, at least to me. But it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Look, we don't know what's going to happen with Dallas and Zeke and all that nonsense that's going on over there. We don't really know what Washington is going to look like, to be perfectly honest with you. And to be really honest, we still have no idea what Philadelphia is going to look like. We have no idea what they're going to look like because we don't know if Carson Wentz is going to stay healthy or not. We don't know how that offensive line is going to do this year, defensively, where they're going to be at. I think they're the biggest conundrum maybe in all the NFL when you start looking at the quarterback position and you go, easily top-tier quarterback in this league, but can he maintain? And that's what I mean when I talk about Eli Manning. He is sustainable. He is a guarantee to be under center. It's just hard to find. It really is hard to find. If they had this core healthy and they had them all year, I'd say New York could win 11 games. The way things are looking, it could be 8 or 9 wins at the most for this football team. Guys, I am Drew Duncan, host of the Full Court Press. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is all at Drew Duncan 83. Additionally, you can find me on YouTube. Simply look for Drew Duncan. And And, of course, the Full Court Press is on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well. And as always, don't you dare touch that dial.